Hi, my name's Eva Garrett and welcome to my final year project presentation. So my project is called MASKED, an exploration of material culture, and my project statement is MASKED is an exploration of material culture delving into the theme of masks in a historical and cultural context. So how we got here. So this has been a year-long project and started out very differently to where it has ended up today. Like most situations these days, you can't do anything without coronavirus crossing your mind, and that was the same for my project. I began by wondering how face masks have impacted our everyday life. I started to research about face masks and I discovered how they've had such a big impact on the world and hold such a vast historical story. With masks being dated back to 9,000 years ago, masks have had a huge part to play within rituals and celebrations within some countries. So by researching and discovering so much fascinating information, my mindset had been changed completely about masks. So I had discovered so much wonderful information and beautiful images. My question was, how do I share this visual culture with the world? I explored many different outputs such as books, online exhibitions to websites, and nothing seemed right until I discovered a set of leaflets from the Victoria and Albert Museum. And as soon as I seen these, I knew this is how I wanted to visually showcase the historical and cultural information that I had found. To me, the way leaflets can be folded and unfolded to reveal and hide information reflect how a face mask is used. It is placed over someone's face to possibly hide something or reveal something else. So this was the reasoning behind my decision. The first step during the second phase of my project was to secure copyright images that best suited my project. This involved many emails and messages to artists. This was a long process that continued throughout, but thankfully there were loads of artists who were happy for me to show off their work. So the main imagery that I sourced for this project was from either the artists who were happy for me to do so, or there were also many museums that I had come across that had their images in the public domain which were free to use. So this was my main two sources for imagery. However, when it came to choosing images, there was a lot of trial and error as I wanted photographs which really encapsulated the given themes, as each mask would be representing thousands of other masks around the world. Next, I moved on to testing out different folds and how I would like these leaflets to be presented, which would end up being created into my high-end design leaflets. After I had a few trials of designing on some of the more intricate folded leaflets with shapes and many folds within them, I decided to take it back and to simplify it down. So I decided for my final leaflets that I would pair two pieces of paper together, and each page would have either 1 to 2 leaflets, and this just, as soon as I'd done this, it felt right, and to me it looked much better, and it looked visually correct. So now I had to decide who was my target audience. I had decided that I would be creating these leaflets for an imagined exhibition that was being held in the V&A Museum of Art and Design. However, once I researched into their target audience, I discovered that this did not align with the audience I was looking to target, which was a younger, more Instagram kind of generation, in the hopes to engage them more in the museum culture. So after I'd done more research into museums, I discovered that my target audience was more aligned to that of Tate Modern Museum. So I wanted my project to be created for the V&A, but with the audience of the Tate Modern Museum. So here is a inspiration board that I created during my project. It includes bright block coloured designs which are found in a lot of modern art design, so that's kind of where I got a lot of my inspiration for this project. So from there on I was able to decide on my own colour palettes, which consisted of bright bold monochromatic colours that would be for each leaflet. So I also wanted a big bold font to match the bold colours and the images that would be used, so that's why I went with that Anton font there. So yeah, my kind of design, I just wanted everything bold, big, strong, much like the face mask is. So next we went on to really getting into the design. So here's just a few of my iterations during my design process. There was many trials and errors during this phase. yeah, even like the smallest of details could make the whole thing feel just off visually. So it was a lot of trial and error, trying different things, and moving compositions about. So within my design, I focus mainly on alignment, along with the right balance between text and images, while also leaving enough negative space to create a beautiful visual design which within each leaflet, while each of the leaflets being really unique but also having the same design feel, so they really do come together as a series. So here is an example of one of my finished leaflet designs. So when I was designing, I had to design on 4 flat images which would turn into 2 pages back to back. So it was quite a tricky and complicated kind of process, as things would look good on the flat image, but then when I printed it out, things would be in the wrong places or they would be stuck down. So it was kind of tricky to visualize it on a flat page and design for that when it was going to be used as a different purpose. So that brings me on to one of the most important processes during my project, and this was the testing. So the process that I kind of followed during this was design, print, test the print, and then redesign, and I just kept doing that over and over again until I was happy, because any small changes that I made, I couldn't really finalise them until I had reprinted out and made sure it all worked. So this led to a lot of printing and a lot of testing. So another thing that I kind of experimented with was functionality. So a lot of these options, as you can see, didn't work out too well. I tried origami, I tried a masquerade sort of style mask, but none of them were really feeling right to me. So you can see there on the bottom of the page, I decided that I wanted to make my leaflets be strong enough so that they could actually stand up on their own. So this would kind of bring in the concept that while they're standing, they're become an object and an artefact of material culture in themselves. So yeah, that's the concept I kind of wanted to go with, the functionality. I wanted each leaflet to work in the purpose of displaying this wonderful imagery and information, but I also wanted it to be an object in itself. So next I sent off my prints to be professionally printed, where I tested out a multiple of paper weights and finishes. In the end I decided to go with 170 gram, as this paper was strong enough to stand up on its own, but it wasn't too thick that it would buckle when I folded it. And then I decided to go with the silk finish because it was a really nice in between the matte and the gloss. When it came then to my final printing, I had a few issues with a different printer and they didn't come out how I wanted them to, and they were cracking, so I had to go and do another reprint, but it paid off then because I finally got to see my designs come alive, and yeah, it was really nice to finally have them in person. So here are some images you can see of the final leaflet standing on their own and as a full set, and how all the colours work together. Unfortunately I can't hand them out to you or any viewer, so I had the challenge then to photograph and video each one, which was a bit of a challenge being at home and trying to set up a little studio with lighting and stuff, but again a lot of testing and fails, but we got there. So I just brought the images that I took into After Effects to create little stop motion videos. So as my target audience was the Instagram generation, I decided it was only really fitting for the leaflets to live on Instagram, and I decided to create a campaign, as this is where I would reach my target audience. So I created these abstract paper masks which represent each leaflet with their unique folds and their bright colours. So the concept with the paper and the folds and the leaflets, they kind of mimic the leaflets and are also a unique object on their own as well. So I then done a photo shoot with a social media influencer, as that is what brands tend to do these days. They'd reach out to influencers, and again, this is how I could reach my target audience. So I made some short videos and images which are posted to the Instagram campaign, which you'll see in a few minutes. So this is my Miro board, which I kept a week-to-week entry of and documented every element of my project. So if you want to go have a look, everything's on there. So yeah, so we're coming to the end of the presentation, and I wanted to finish it off by just showing you this. It is a picture of my very first leaflet prototype when I first had the idea, alongside two of my finished products. So it's just crazy and lovely to see the development that's happened along the way. So next I'm just going to play a video demonstration for the purposes of just showcasing the leaflets, and then you will also see a short snippet of the Instagram campaign. Hope you enjoy.